The latest numbers for voter registration in North Carolina are in, and our next guest identifies a couple of interesting developments. Dr. Andy Jackson is director of the Civitas Center for Public Integrity, and he joins us now with the latest. You keep a close track on voter registration in North Carolina, and you saw the latest numbers down for Democrats, Republicans, and Libertarians, and unaffiliated this time around.
Yeah, what we're having the tail end of the biennial voter maintenance that the State Board of Elections mandates that all the county boards do. When they did this 2 years ago, it was a very organized thing. Almost every county did it in 2 weeks. But this time it's been kind of stretched out over time. Bladen County started the ball rolling back in early December. This week we just had New Hanover County, one of our larger counties, do their list maintenance, which is when you kind of remove some of these inactive voters, people who by definition haven't voted in 8 years. They haven't been able to contact those voters, and so they remove them periodically in order to make sure, as a defense against potential voter fraud, to make sure that the voter rolls are accurate. And if you didn't do this, eventually you would have millions more people registered to vote than you would have actual people of voting age. So this has to be done periodically. And so we only have now one county left, Perquimans. I don't know what's wrong with Perquimans. I don't know why they haven't done it yet, but they should have it done soon.
And this process, as you're pointing out, is important to ensure that the people who are voting on Election Day are actually people who should be voting, and not people whose names have been on the list for 30, 40 years, despite the fact that they've left us and gone on to a higher plane.
Right. And the county boards do kind of regular maintenance. Like if they get notification from, say, Nebraska that, hey, somebody registered to vote here and they said they were registered there, you can take them off the rolls. So they do that. But a lot of people, probably most people who die or move out of the county, the county board is not notified. So they really do have to do this every 2 years.
In addition to this purge that you're talking about, you also noted that Republican registration has continued to have an interesting development. You describe it in a blog post on this as a bleed off.
Yeah, it's kind of, you get a nick and it just keeps on dripping. Really, ever since the riot that happened at the U.S. Capitol on January 6th, there has been, at least noticed, this steady, really in the hundreds per week on average, drop off of Republicans. And this is separate from what we've seen with the list maintenance or the voter purges, as they're sometimes called. This is something that is a whole separate thing. And the trick is, and people haven't really nailed this down, is the reasons for that. Now, there's two competing explanations. One, these are people that are really upset because the party has become overly dominated by Donald Trump. Or two, there are people that think it hasn't sufficiently supported the president. And there's probably a little of both there. It'd be nice to have some people do some interviews of some of these people to nail that down. But yeah, it's still continuing to go on.
Well, the next election is still a ways away, but we know that one person who is going to continue to monitor this type of information and keep us up to date on it is Dr. Andy Jackson, director of the Civitas Center for Public Integrity at the John Locke Foundation. Thanks so much.
Thank you.